So I'm recording this October 29th, which is obviously right before Halloween. So I'm going to be posting this right before Halloween because I'm going to be posting it tomorrow. So it's only fitting that I dress up as one of the characters for Halloween, obviously. And a couple of you commented that too. So, obviously this is an Angel episode. And I was looking for a black coat in my mom's wardrobe. She does not have one, and I don't have one either. So, the only other thing that I have are overalls. So I am channeling Willow season 1, 2, you know? Yeah. I have not worn my hair in these kind of braids in literal years because, obviously my hair is so fucking long. But, I also feel like it makes me look like a child, but, you know, it's Willow's style, so we roll with it. Yeah, I don't know what to think, but, hopefully you guys enjoy, being Willow for today. Anyways, hello Flame Being, hi, how you doing? And today we're gonna be watching Angel Season 2, Episode 7. I'm very excited to jump back into Angel because we're gonna be watching this one and then the next one for the reaction guide. So I'm excited to see what happens, especially after the last episode because the last one was a fun ride. It was with Wes, we had the Guys Will Be Guys episode. It was so fun, it was so interesting, and I just love the whole, like, getting to dive into, like, Wesley's character, you know, so I loved that. And we also got, like, a lot of stuff with, like, Angel and, like, his backstory and stuff with, like, Darla and all that, and I'm just so excited to jump back into Angel after the last Buffy episode, because the last Buffy episode was so fucking good. Like, I'm literally still on a high from that episode, and I watched that last week. It is just one of those episodes that I think will be in my mind forever. It is so fucking good. Oh my god. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. But either way, we're back to Angel, and I'm so excited to see how this goes. And if we're gonna be getting more of the Darla thing, or like where are we going with it now, you know? But I don't think any big conversations we had last episode that I should comment on again. But either way, like the last episode was just a fun ride, and I just loved seeing so much of like Darla and like how Angel interprets like all of this stuff that's happened to him, you know? Oh, one thing I wanted to mention. So, this has been an ongoing conversation and discussion, with, like, the whole, like, what does being a vampire mean in, like, the Buffyverse? And I was talking about it, and, like, after the last Buffy episode, if you haven't already watched it, it's, like, very, like, showing of Spike's emotions, you know? Like, it's showing how Spike is very human even though he's a vampire, which was like the whole like, you know, with Angel being like, I wasn't able to love because I didn't have a soul and like all that. But it's kind of more telling to like how all of that, like his firsthand experience of like what he was telling Darla, I feel like that's just more of like what he experienced and not necessarily like the whole vampire like experience, if that makes sense, because a lot of people were like, well, maybe like being a vampire, it like just heightens things that are already in you, or like heightens the worst parts of you, and you know, like all that. So yeah, it's just like very interesting to see like the contrast as well between like Buffy right now, because they're like trying to like bring in Spike more, and like low-key trying to set him up with Buffy, so it's like, what's happening, you know? And we just got like that episode 2 episodes prior, I think, with Angel being like, I wasn't able to love because I didn't have a soul, you know? And like now obviously he has a soul. But so it's very interesting how like in the last Buffy episode we got like a whole like Spike backstory and like all of his like his whole life as a vampire and like all of the events that led up to him being a vampire. And then we jump back on Angel, and it's just like, it's very different how Spike and Angel are vampires. And I think it's so cool how this whole season so far, in the last couple episodes at least, have been like trying to like contrast that. I mean, maybe I'm looking into that, but I feel like they're trying to contrast that as well. Like the different types of vampires and like how. Anyways, it's just a lot, and I'm super excited to jump back on Angel. So without further ado, let's just get into it. Hey, Angel, what you doing? You sulking? Like normal? Are you drawing? Is he a little artist? I think they should. Oh, he's a little artist. Okay. Wes is like, what are you doing?
What is it, Wesley?
It? You're certain?
Uh-huh. Good night.
Good night.
I feel like Cordelia was
You're
like,
still
okay,
here.
you're a guy. Go see if he's like fine.
Really?
Oh my god! Angel, a little obsessive behavior. Excuse me? Darla, what's up? So Lindsay. I don't know what that laugh that I just made was. I'm just excited to see Lindsay. What is happening? Are both of them going a little...
So many things. I remember them all. Which one were you thinking of?
She's getting guilt.
I shouldn't have sent you.
Can be with someone for 150 years. Think you know him. Still doesn't work out. I'm jealous. You should have
She's
seen
like, you
us
think you
together.
know a person.
He was a different person then.
And so was I.
Interesting.
Now we're soulmates.
Oh, because y'all both have souls now. Okay. I'm so excited to see how they approach this whole thing with like 1609? 1609? Wait a minute. Are we gonna see like how Darla became a vampire? 1609? Goodness gracious. Okay. It's a little
Someone
sus.
close the shutters. Seems wrong that I should die while the sun is still so bright.
You'll not see it again.
Oh.
Before it... You can't save her life. Perhaps I can still save her soul.
Is turning her into a vampire?
Well,
You will not die.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I came to you last night.
I knew that
remember
the
now.
voice sounded familiar. I am
Your death.
No.
why am I about to cry? I'm literally so
I'm
happy.
your savior. God never did anything for you.
My
But
god.
I
Holy shit. Oh my
Am I
god.
the only one who thinks this is just a really bad idea?
We can't just sit around
We
here.
can't just jump
waiting
back
for
into
Wolfram and
this
Hart to
after
make a move.
that.
Last time Darla emerged, she wanted to be found. Now she's out there among 6 million other people.
She could be sitting on top of anybody.
Come on, guys.
You Cordy.
Detective-y.
We cruise around with the top down, and you take big whiffs.
Please, you're gonna have it be a dog.
Ritual.
Yeah, and they still gotta put her up, don't they? That's an expense. You telling me these lawyers haven't figured out a way to write that off?
Darla always loved something with a view.
1716! Ah!
You had a nice trip.
I can't.
I'm so glad.
Whose face do you want to look at for eternity? His or mine?
So that's so interesting. So after
I
Angel
made her.
got a soul, Darla probably was like, gonna go back to the master! Because that's where we saw her at like the beginning of season 1.
You're leaving with the stallion, aren't you?
He's like, I can't trust no hoes. Wow. These hoes ain't loyal.
It won't last. I give it a century. Tops.
So you think Wolfram and Hart went through all this trouble just to keep me distracted? Take me out of the game?
Maybe if they're doing something a little
It is
sussy.
possible.
Seems a pity.
When I bit into him, I could hear the ocean.
Guys,
You're all alone.
That's not true, Precious.
I cool true.
We've got us.
His head's too full of you, Grandmother.
Stop calling me that.
Don't be cross. I could be your mummy. And make him mine forever with a kiss.
It's that
where you're going.
Or you could just take the first drooling idiot that comes along. I found you.
Based on this, we think that the search is over. Property's owned by Wolfram and Hart.
Annapolis olive oil import-export.
This episode is gonna
client.
make you have an aneurysm.
That's pretty slim.
I love this.
Mom and Dad are in the coma. Sue, the property manager, was very helpful. She even cried.
Cordy? Let's get it.
Let's go.
We love
Perhaps
an
it would be best
actress.
if you
Life's too short. Believe me, I know. 400 years and still too short.
She. I mean, get it, I guess.
It's not me you want to screw.
What?
It's him. You all think you can use me to get to Angel.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it sounded like she was trying to say, you're using me to get to Angel, right? I could put in a good word for you. I could be your wig woman.
Now do you... It's a cancer. This soul.
Oh, she's got guilt.
You took it from me.
But if you do as I say, your family can live.
What?
Pretty music. Pretty music.
She's like, well, there goes my bargaining chips. Thanks, Psych.
Cordy, just take a message. So you think this is a setup? You mustn't rule it out.
Angel.
Cordy, please, I'm talking.
Hi, Darla. He can't talk right now. He'll call you back once he's found you. Yeah.
But I was wrong, wasn't I? My boy knows.
For real, they've been through like
Yeah, I
the
know.
same kind of thing.
All right, go.
She's not leaving the building.
I said go!
Darla.
Oh, good.
Darla.
Oh my god.
You not only allowed her to escape, you facilitated it.
Lindsay.
I'm terminating the project.
Terminating.
What does that mean?
Go home, Lindsay.
What does that mean? For
Get some
Darla.
rest.
Oh my god. Oh my. Wait, was Angel there when Spike killed?
You're so warm. You just fed.
You found me.
You could never resist a religious war. And you always talked about China. I just followed the bodies. I want things to be like they were. You and me together.
Really?
Can be again. Just give me a chance to prove it to you.
You almost make me believe you.
It's so interesting. Even after like years of like guilt from the soul, he still was like, okay, Darla, we can work through this. We can work through this. And we can like get back to where we were.
Where is she?
I was
Nope. You get just enough breath to tell me where
Okay,
she is.
Angel.
Right, Vice?
Okay.
Don't waste.
I was trying to call you. They're gonna kill her. You gotta stop it.
We're
Right, she
getting the
needs you,
band
please.
back together. They're gonna come together.
Darla?
Oh my god.
Darla?
Yeah, he has a soul. He's not doing that. Was that a test or something?
What's over here?
Nothing. Bodies. Let's find something warm.
Yes. So where have you two been?
Well, I tell.
They were doing a lot.
I smell fear.
This whole place reeks of it.
I am loving this so much. And we get a new, like... I love this so much. Just like the flashback, but from like a different angle. She knows. She knows.
King in the club, getting dubs.
with a bad bitch in his ear saying that she down for whatever. In the back of his mind is Coretta, and she knows, and I know she knows, and I know she.
Oh,
Sorry, lady.
Where have you been? Thieves and scoundrels.
oh my god, is there a baby in there?
Did you think I wouldn't notice? You said if I took you back, you'd prove yourself.
I will.
Good.
Oh my god,
Now's your chance.
no. A baby? Come on.
Dining on rats. I won't be made a fool, Angelus.
I didn't mean...
While Spike was out killing a slayer, you were saving missionaries.
Goodness.
From me.
Sorry.
No. No more words. Act.
Oh, okay. All I'm gonna know.
Mr. McDonald's, everything okay in there?
Family's been notified.
Wait, what?
You played me. You played her.
We had to make you believe it, Lindsay.
Why?
Because she had to believe it. Because Angel has to. The crisis needed to be real.
You think that now that you've driven her back to him, that she's gonna give him that perfect moment of happiness? And what do you expect him to do?
What he will do. What he must do. Save her soul.
No problem.
He's like, hey Wes, can you burn like the 500 copies I made of Darla's face, please? Imagine she finds it. She's like, oh, okay.
Thought I was dead.
You're not dead.
Not sure how I feel about that.
I know what you mean.
Mood.
You'll make the pain stop, won't you?
Takes time.
It takes moments. Do it. Now.
I knew she was gonna ask him.
I released you from this world once. I gave you eternal life. Now it's time for you to return the favor.
Favor. Is that what you think?
Oh, you gonna go off on her? Oh.
I can't.
What do you mean you can't? You won't. You disgust me.
Darla, wait.
Okay, music, chill out. I don't need to cry again.
Don't look for me again.
Oh, bye. Why are these shows so painful? Oh my god. Ow! Goodness gracious. Okay, this one was called Just Darla. I wanna. It is a 9.1 rating, which the last Buffy episode had a 9.2. What they deserve. They deserve more, honestly. This episode was just like... Oh, I love it. I love it. And it was written and directed by Tim Minear. I think he only writes... Yeah, I think he only writes for Angel. I love his episodes. Oh my god, I love it. And his directing was fucking amazing. That sequence at the end where it was like going back and forth and just like all the flashbacks just fit so perfectly in this episode. I don't even know where to begin. The last Buffy episode sent me on a high. This one sent me into like a state of shock. Like, I was not expecting this from Darla's character, and I'm honestly kind of loving it. Because like I first thought when they were like going when she was like in Lindsay's office and they were like talking and stuff and they were like talking about like the plan and all that, or like they were just talking about Angel, I thought that the plan was going to be that Wolfram and Hart had a vampire and they were going to turn Darla into a vampire. I thought that was the plan. I'm not sure. And then Lindsay mentioned something at the end where he's like, what do you guys expect? Like her to give Angel his like true moment of happiness and then he's gonna turn evil and then he's gonna like work for you guys. Not gonna happen. Which that's not gonna happen. But it's just like so cool. Like the whole like Darla, like it's just so cool. The way that it kind of recontextualized like all the flashbacks that we got in Buffy. And it like it's so good. And we got a flashback from what 1609 or something with Darla becoming a vampire. And did they tell us? I don't know. I don't even know if they told us. But her sire is fucking Baldy, the master. That is so fucking cool. And like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm like, they're cool. But yeah, what I was saying in the episode, I was like, oh, so like does Angel get a soul and then he like leaves and then like Darla goes back to the master? But I forget when he gets his soul. I think it's like 1880 or something. And then the rebellion thingy where Spike kills the Slayer is in like 1900. So I thought she was gonna be back with the master, but I guess not. I think maybe she like goes to the master like later. Well, not the master actually, because doesn't it like, wait, I forget how that happened. Because the first episode of Buffy, or like the second episode of Buffy, it's like the master rising, right? So I guess it wasn't actually the master. Maybe it was like a bunch of vampires being like, yo, let's get the master up in here. And then like they all just like told their friends like, hey, the master's coming back. And then like they all came and like helped. And like Darla was like, oh, I gotta be in on that. Because I forget, the master wasn't alive at the beginning of Buffy. Like he was, or I don't know how that works, but like he came back again, you know? But yeah, like the whole, it's just so cool the way that like Darla's character and Angel's character, they are like, there are so many things that they have similar. Like they both were vampires. They both got a soul. They both died, came back, and it's like all these things like when you go through them, it's like, oh shit, I don't have anyone else to talk about this with because no one else has gone through this. Like no one else has died and then come back to life. So like can't talk about that to anyone else. But then Darla comes and it's like, oh shit, Angel might have someone to like actually talk to this about and like, you know, work through things, you know, because he does not work through things. Yeah, and at the beginning of this episode where like Darla and Angel were like both like just like not obsessed, I guess obsessed, but like just being like so like overwhelmed like the thought of the other person. I wasn't expecting this from Darla's character. Like I was expecting Darla to like fully be like evil for like the rest of the season, maybe at the season finale, maybe we can turn her good or something, or like maybe she can come work for us or something, or maybe like I don't know, I was thinking like she was gonna be evil and then we're gonna have to kill her at the like the season finale or something. But the fact that like now episode 7 and she's got a soul, she's got guilt. The end scene where like she's talking to Angel, she's like, you need to turn me into a vampire. Come on, I did this for you. This was a gift for you. You need to do it for me. And then he just like has this moment where he's like, right. You are Darla who thought that being a vampire was a gift. Right. Like, I feel like that was like a moment of clarity for him where like before that he was like so hung up on this idea of like Darla being human. Maybe we could like make her like, you know, like they could bond over that and like they could have like, you know, she could be used for good instead of evil. And then that moment where it's like, oh, right, so Darla as a vampire wasn't so different than how Darla is now and how she is like as a person now after so many years of being a vampire and like killing people, you know? So I really enjoyed that, how it was kind of like this whole episode was like that journey of like Angel being like, no, I could save her, you know, I can help her. And then at the end being like, oh, yeah, we could save her, but yeah, I guess we could try and save her. Just so like she doesn't go back to Wolfram and Hart, but like don't think she's gonna be, you know, staying for like all like Angel is, you know? I'm sorry, my words are not coming out correctly. Yeah, sorry, I'm all over the place right now. But it was also so interesting at the beginning where Darla was like, now we're soulmates because now they both have souls. And again, the fucking flashback to see Darla being turned into a vampire by the fucking master. It's not something that I knew I needed, but I needed it. As soon as I got it, I'm like, oh my god. Oh, so good. And I was like, as I was watching, I was like, this priest sounds familiar. But I was like, you know, it's kind of like, you know, whatever. Like, I feel like that all the time. I'm like, oh, I feel like I've heard this guy's voice before. And then it's the fucking master. And I'm like, yes! I feel like we haven't seen the master in a while from Doppelgangland, right? That's like the last time we saw the master, like, you know, in a different universe type of thing, you know? Was it Doppelgangland? Was it Doppelgangland? I don't know. It was like a season 3 episode. And it looked like the same actor, so that was super cool, like, the actor coming back for, like, just for, like, one scene. That was just so cool of the show to do, you know, to, like, go out of their way, get the actor to come back, and, like, you know, like, it's just, like, I loved it. It was so good. And then it's 1760, and I forget when he turns into a vampire. I am so sorry, guys. I'm so bad with dates, and, like, this show is so, like, the backstory is so heavily, like, dependent on dates, and I'm so bad at it. 1753, he became a vampire, and in 1898 is when he got his soul. Okay, so I guess, like, a couple decades before this, he became a vampire. So then Darla goes to the master, is like, hey, guess what? We got this boy, Angelus. And that's just so cool how, like, I don't know, like, it kind of was, like, also an arc for Darla, or, like, not an arc, but, like, a stepping stone for Darla as well, like, for her character. Like, she was basically for, like, over 100 years just under the master, just, like, doing whatever the master wanted, you know, just being on the DL, trying to, like, you know, live in the sewers, all of that. And then Angelus comes around. She turns Angel into Angelus as a vampire. And then Angelus has, like, this other, like, kind of viewpoint where he, like, comes in and he's like, no, we're gonna be living up top. We're gonna have a view. We're gonna, like, you know, who cares about humans? We're gonna live among them. And the master is, like, kind of old school, where he's like, no, fuck that. I don't want to live amongst the humans. They're icky. And he's like, I'd rather live down here. And it's kind of like where Darla was like, oh, so there's, like, another viewpoint in this. And it's so cool how, like, with this, we're like, oh, Angelus had some sort of, like, impact on how Darla was a vampire. Like, she wasn't she wasn't, you know, living amongst the humans, you know, causing a huge ass ruckus, like, everywhere she went before she met Angelus. She met Angelus, and then they kind of, like, formed that together. So it's cool to see, like, how Darla's character also changed. Because, like, I feel like in my mind, at least, I don't know if it's, like, all viewers had this, like, kind of mentality, but, like, I felt like Darla was a main, like catalyst for Angelus to, like, be like, okay, we're going to wreak havoc everywhere, you know? But from this, it seems like Angelus was, like, the main pusher to be like, no, we need to, like, go out and kill a bunch of people. We're not going to do what the master says, but we're going to, like, be down here in the sewers, you know? So I just really like that, how it wasn't necessarily just Darla. Like, Angelus had, like, a big part in, like, changing how they were and how they acted. And very cool. And it's also, like, fitting, like, now I realize, like, that's why Angelus's name is the one that's so popular, because, like, he's the one that did all that. So okay, and then it's 1880. And we got Drusilla, and then Drusilla turns Spike. I love it. I love to see it. So I'm, like, rewatching the whole Wolfram and Hart scene where like Lindsay brings in Darla to like the office, and like then Holland's like, yo, she's already made contact with Angel, like she doesn't really need to be here. And then Lindsay's like, oh, I think she's like being like, you know, has PTSD right now from like when she's a vampire. And then Holland goes, oh, she's cracking up. And it just reminds me of that one meme where it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to cracking up.
What are you looking forward to most about this film?
Well, I think I'm looking forward to cracking up. I hope I can, like, you know, totally crack up. So, I haven't, like, totally cracked up in a long time.
I'm sorry, that was like a meme that I was like obsessed with for like 3 weeks straight, where I'm like, I'm looking forward to cracking up. I cracked myself up. Sorry. But yeah, then he goes, she's way ahead of schedule. We'll have to accelerate matters. And then he goes, you need to like remove sharp objects from your office. So like right there, I was like, oh, so they're gonna turn her into a vampire like right then. Like they don't want her to like be too guilty, you know? Like they didn't want her to like go into the direction of like where Angel went, where it was like he was just like riddled with guilt and all these things from like when he was a vampire. And they were like, oh shit, that's happening. Maybe we should turn her into a vampire now. Maybe that was like the plan for like a couple weeks from now, but like maybe we should do it now. That's what I thought was gonna happen, but then I don't know. Like the whole thing was like a little confusing to me, because then after Lindsay and Darla have a little smoochy smooch. It was also so interesting, like the whole little like monologue kind of thing that she had, where it was like humans get things this way, vampires get things this way, where it's like, I don't know, just like it's very cool how the shows have kind of equated that sort of desire for like sexual like desire with vampires' desire for blood, and like that it's just so interesting how they like kind of equated it, and they just draw a lot of parallels, like even just like, you know, Spike and Drusilla. I feel like that's just like, you know, when they were in like the Boxer Rebellion, like they were like getting both their desires out of the way. Yeah, I was very cool, because it's like it kind of shows how like humans aren't super different than vampires, where like when we look at a vampire, like, oh, you're just like overrun by like your desire for blood. But then you look at humans and it's like, well, you have a bunch of desires that like pretty much rule how you live, so it's like not very different, you know? Obviously humans don't usually kill people for their desires, but you know, you get what I mean. Okay, so yeah, 1898 is when he loses his soul. And I'm sorry, that's so funny, the way that Drusilla is like, okay, we're gonna use your family as a bargaining chip, okay? So you're gonna like da-da-da. And then Spike just comes out and he's like, yeah, that bargaining chip, no, can't use that anymore. Spike, oh my god. Oh, I just love it. I love seeing more flashbacks with Drusilla. I'm a broken record, but Drusilla is... I love her so much. And I'm so happy that we get to see more of her. Just even like flashbacks, you know, I would have loved for her to like actually come back like in this timeline, but like just the flashbacks and getting to see more of like, it brings me way too much joy. Like it's a little unhealthy how much joy these flashbacks give me. Okay, so then Darla calls Angel, and then we have a whole like security guard thing where this makes, I'm just confused on like what this means, or like maybe it like is shown more in the next episode. But the security guard was like trying to defend Lindsay, pulls out his gun, Darla shoots the security guard, I guess. And then I guess Lindsay was like, oh shit, like thinking that she killed him. So Lindsay takes Darla out, Then the next day, he is talking to Holland, and Holland's like, yeah, I already told the family, like insinuating that like he died or like is in critical condition. And then the next day, you see him totally fine, just chilling, straight chilling, like going through the lobby. and seeing Holland, and it's like, so what happened there? What was the plan? Like, is it like, so was that the plan all along? Like, you wanted Lindsay to help Darla get out so that she could be with Angel? Like, what was... I'm not sure with that. Like, I was like, they made it a point to point it out and, like, have it be a thing. But I don't know what that means. Yeah, so then we get to see in 1900 when the whole Spike trying to kill the one Slayer, and then Angel comes and sees Darla finally, and it's just so cool how I thought there's a bigger gap, but it's like just 2 years, but over those 2 years, Angel is, like, riddled with guilt. Like, he's, like, going through it. Like, he's in his feelings, like, all over, like, what he did as a vampire. And he still sought out Darla and was like, no, I can still be a vampire. I can still be a vampire, you know? Like, this isn't a deal breaker, okay? And it's just so interesting how, like, I don't know, because even with the whole... Darla trying to go to the village that like did the curse on Angel, like trying to be like, hey, maybe you could like put in another clause or something to like help us out. And then with this, it's like she, like before when we saw the flashback from Angel's point of view, it seemed like Darla was like just ruthless, being like, no, you're leaving, da da da. But in this one, it's like so clear that like she wanted Angelus with her. Like she didn't want him to leave, but it was like in her best interest to have her leave once he got a soul. And then in this, it's like she's like torn, like she doesn't know what to do with like Angelus with a soul. So I don't know. It was just like so interesting to add like a little more nuance to Darla's character, because before obviously like we barely knew her, aside from like a couple flashbacks and what we saw in season 1. So we like basically assume that Darla is like fully just evil, like that's just her character. But there's just a lot more substance to her, like under the surface. And I'm so happy we got to see more of that in this episode. And just like the whole Angel wanting to be with Darla, and it's so interesting that Angel had, like, he told Darla that, like, he didn't feel the same way with her as he did with Buffy because he didn't have a soul or whatever. But it's, like, just, like, looking back, I'm like, dude, you were, like, maybe it's just because he didn't have anyone else, you know? He didn't know what else to do. But it seems like he cared a lot about Darla and like wanted to be with her, you know? And that's also so interesting, like even that just like one moment where like Angel sees the family and like leaves, and then he tells Darla that like there's no one there. It like just shows like he's not going to be like at the same level as Darla, and that's gonna come back to like bite him, you know? And I don't know, it's just like kind of sad, like that he wanted to be with Darla, but in order to be with Darla, you had to like, you know, kill people, you know, like yikes. Yeah, and I also love the whole slow-mo thing where like now it's like kind of focused on Angel and Darla instead of Spike this time. Listen. Immaculate. Like literally amazing. Like I can't get over how amazing some of these scenes were with like the whole flashbacks. It's so good. So good. Yeah, so then we have the whole flashback with Darla being like, hey, I'm onto you, what the fuck? Like, why aren't you like actually being a vampire with me and like, you know, killing people, but it was so cool how she mentioned that he only kills people that like deserve it, you know? Like, it's so cool how even back then he's basically doing what he does now, where like he just fights crime basically as a vampire. Like our little vigilante. Look at him go. Like, I love it. But then obviously has like, Darla puts him to the test, basically like, hey, you're gonna ride with me, you're gonna have to do this, and basically feed on a baby. A baby? Which is so like, I just thought of this. So like, with this, Darla's like pissed that Angel is only eating like, you know, people that deserve it and like rats and stuff basically. And it's so funny how like with the master, when the master was like underground, you know, they probably didn't, you know, have the best selection of things to eat. And it's Angel that was the one that changed her viewpoint and was like, hey, we should go to the surface and we should live amongst the humans and feed on them. And then in this, it like kind of comes back to bite Angel, be like, hey, what you taught Darla, where like you wanted to have this sort of lifestyle, now with a soul, doesn't really fit it, because it's like, you know, kind of fucked up. And it's just so interesting how like he changed Darla, and then by the time that Angel got a soul, Darla was already set in her ways from what Angel had taught her. And then obviously Angel left and was like, oh, gotta bounce, I'm not into this anymore. So obviously Darla was, you know, evil, but to some extent, some of that evilness has to do with what Angel had, or Angelus had to say in that, you know? Maybe I'm looking too much into it, and you guys can definitely tell me that, but I feel like that's what they were trying to say with, like, how it's not just Darla. It's not just her. That was, like, you know, the main force of, like, evil with them. It's, like, both of them. And some cases, it was more Angel, like, trying to, like, teach her all these things, you know? Okay, so I guess it was, like, a crisis to, like, drive Darla to go to Angel. Okay, well, she wanted to go to Angel anyway. So, I guess it was, like, to push her, and also to, like, push, like, that kind of guilt of, like, killing someone, you know, inadvertently. And, like, trying to push, like, her becoming a... Is that what they want? Is that... I think that's what they want. I feel like they want Darla to be a vampire again. But I don't know. I don't really know much anymore with that. Like, what Wolfram and Hart actually wants with all this. Because, like, the beginning, they were like, oh, maybe they brought back Darla just to, like, distract you, Angel. And that, I feel like, is the most plausible, like, thing that they could be, like, watch it come up, like, 2 episodes from now, being like, oh, Wolfram and Hart has been, like, working on this big case that Angel didn't even look at because he's been so preoccupied with Darla, you know? Yeah, so then, the last scene. Whoo, boy! So good. So good. So we have pretty much, like, very close shots. We have, okay, Darla goes, you'll make the pain stop, won't you? And, like, in both shots, you see both of them. So, like, you see Angel, well, in Angel's shot, you see mostly just him. And then in Darla's shot, you see, like, both of them. Like, it's kind of like, they're both very close to each other. And it's, like, they're kind of like, oh, we haven't seen each other in a while, you know? Like, obviously, it's, like, a pretty big reunion for both of them, like, having, you know. And then Darla says it takes moments. Which, as soon as she said that, I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, she's gonna. Then she says, do it now. Basically being like, hey, turning me into a vampire, buddy. And right after that, it cuts to Angel, which, oh my god, this... David is such a good actor. His facial expression just changed me, like, what? And then he stands up, and there's, like, this really big shot where, like, they're not even centered. And I just love this shot because it, like, kind of just shows, like, just puts space in, like, the whole area being, like, you know, trying to make them distant and trying to, like, show how, like, the shot just doesn't, like, it's very strange. And it kind of just shows, like, how lost Angel probably is in that moment where he's like, oh, wait a minute, what the fuck? You know? Because, like, he also had to make that same decision before with the whole, you know, baby thing. Baby thing. It's also interesting how before, Darla was sitting, and then Angel, I guess, was, like, on his knees, or, like, crouching, basically. So Darla was, like, a little bit higher up, And then as soon as he goes, what? And he like stands up, obviously Angel is taller than Darla, so it just puts that distance between them as well. And then I just love the blocking in this scene, them like how they walk and like how the camera moves with them. Oh my god. And then right after Darla's like, it's time for you to return the favor, meaning like, time for you to turn me into a vampire, buddy. Like the whole like them moving apart, the camera slowly moving, and then it starts moving. Like the whole movement of the camera to like make Darla like move a little bit more like away from Angel, and then the close-up of Angel's face right after to like kind of just dive into his emotion of like, oh my god, what the fuck, you think that this is a gift? Like, dude, what? Oh my god, the camera movement. Because right after she says, do me a favor, and then like they like walk away from each other a little bit, all the shots after that, just of them, because they're no longer together. Like, they both have very different views on what it means to be a vampire, so it like kind of shows like how distant they are now. And then after that, it's like more of a close-up shot of Darla just being like, please, you know? I can't with this. I cannot with this. And then it transitions into the whole flashback. And like the whole like overlapping dialogue too in that, with like Angel being like, I can't, and then it goes to the flashback, and then in flashback Darla's like, what do you mean you can't?
You won't.
Oh my god. And then with like the flashback ending, he like leaves with the baby, and then in like it flashes back to like present day, and Darla's leaving this time. Oh my god. And does she, I did not catch this the first time, but I'm guessing it's like light out. She walks into the sunlight right before she leaves, and Angel has to stop himself, be like, oh, I cannot follow after her because I'm about to get toasted. Again, just showing how different they are now because she's a fucking human. And then she's like, don't look for me ever again, basically. I'm about to cry in the club. Oh, this episode is just so good, and I love it so much. And yeah, I feel like I haven't talked about this episode for a long time, but the more I think about it, the more I like have to say about it. And I just really enjoyed this one. It's just really good. It's really good. But yeah. The next episode that I'm going to be watching is the next Angel episode, episode 8, I think. So look forward to that. And I think after that we go back to Buffy. But either way, I think that is all I have to say about this episode. So yeah, thank you to all my beautiful patrons over on Patreon. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!